Welcome to Dave and Dharm Demystify, a FinTech Futures podcast, helping make sense of the world of FinTech and digital finance. Please sit back and listen as the two Ds take a subject and discuss it to make it clearer and easier to understand.
Demystifying.
Welcome, everybody, to today's show. And I'm delighted to welcome Ziad Nassar from Huspy, who joins us from Dubai. So, Ziad, would you like to give us a brief introduction to yourself, and then we can talk about Huspy?
Absolutely. So thanks for having me, Dave. It's a pleasure for Huspy to be represented on your show. To give you a very brief description of my profile, effectively, my name is Ziad. I'm originally Lebanese. I am currently based out of Dubai, and I spend my time between here and Spain, where our second international market is. I've been with Huspy for about 3 years, very early on, effectively. And in terms of profile, I'm French educated. I went to college in the US and in Qatar at Carnegie Mellon. And my professional experience varies between strategic consulting with Bain & Company, but also operational experience with one of the largest real estate and hospitality developers in the region based out of Qatar.
Very nice. Very interesting background. So in terms of Huspy itself, do you want to give us a brief background to the business? It's a pretty impressive business, I have to say. But, you know, I think for people who don't know anything about Huspy, it'd be great to kind of get a bit of background.
Absolutely. So let me walk you effectively through the story and how we got here. So initially, we started Huspy with the ambition of building a mortgage business for the Middle East. Long story short, the concept of a digitized mortgage broker that streamlines the end-to-end acquisition of a property through a mortgage did not exist. So we brought it in. Today, we're building a real estate super app for Europe and the Middle East. Effectively, if you look at our business today, we have a real estate and a mortgage business in 4 different cities. Dubai and Madrid as our first 2 cities. Dubai first, that's where our HQ sits. Madrid in Spain was our first international expansion. And we recently launched 2 additional cities, one in Spain being Valencia and the other one being the capital of the UAE in Abu Dhabi. Effectively, the thesis we have on mortgages and real estate is the same. We empower the stakeholders that really matter in the transactions. On mortgages, those are the mortgage brokers. And on real estate, it's the real estate agents. How do we empower these mortgage brokers and real estate agents? We provide them with the best technology in the market that effectively streamlines their day-to-day operations, makes them significantly more efficient, reduces repetition and mistakes. And we also give them the highest commissions in the market. In addition to that, we provide them with the infrastructure to ensure that they have the best service offering in the market. Meaning, for example, for mortgage brokers, that's providing them with access to the full lending market. And on real estate, it's providing them with access to the best portfolio of properties in the market, whether off-plan through strong relationships with developers or secondary through strong relationships and a strong value proposition for individual sellers. The thesis that we have is to disrupt the industry by making a bet on the people who really matter. Effectively, these again are the real estate agents and the mortgage broker. On the real estate side, anyone who's ever bought, sold, or rented a property knows very well that the agent himself or herself do the majority of the work. They source the property, they arrange for the photography and videography, they schedule and execute the visits, they manage the offers, closing, document collection, and even more. In return, in the vast majority of European markets and the Middle East, they receive a significantly smaller piece of the commission than what the agency keeps. On the mortgages, the broker effectively handholds the home buyer, negotiates with multiple banks, collects documentation, ensures the documentation is correct, prepares all the applications, submits them to the bank, handholds the buyer all the way till they receive the amount of disbursement. And again, they keep a very small part of the commission that's generated from the transaction. Our ambition effectively is really large. We want to build the largest home buying company in Europe and the Middle East by disrupting traditional players that have been squeezing way too much value out of the real estate transactions without giving enough value in return to the people that really matter, whether these are the real estate agents, the mortgage brokers, and of course, the home buyers and the home sellers.
It's really interesting. I mean, you're totally right. I think you look at the home buying process and the people making the most money out of it. It's really been open for disruption for a long time. I mean, in terms of Huspy itself as a proposition, it sounds like it's B2C, or is it, how does the model actually work?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Dave. So effectively, unlike other players in the prop tech space, what we've tried to do is, instead of trying to compete with everyone in the ecosystem, we try to enable everyone in the ecosystem. So effectively, you are right. We have a significant volume of our business that comes as a B2C, which is us effectively enabling external mortgage brokers to facilitate their clients' mortgage transactions in a much more streamlined manner, while also making sure that the mortgage brokers themselves are benefiting much more from the transaction by making more commissions than they would get either going through another mortgage broker or going through the bank directly, while stressing very, very much on the fact that there is zero financial impact on the customer, meaning a customer that uses a normal mortgage broker or a normal real estate agent versus a customer using Huspy on mortgages or on real estate will not pay anything more than they would do with the traditional players. Just expect a significantly higher level of service of offering. Why? Because we're enabling the people that are actually hand-holding them through the transactions through our technology and by giving them higher financial incentives. However, we also have a significantly large channel that is also direct to consumers. So effectively, we have consumers can come to Huspy today, deal directly with Huspy, but also can be dealing with Huspy through one of our external mortgage broker partners.
I mean, it's fascinating. So if a customer comes to you directly, and congratulations, I want to talk about the website. It's a really lovely website, but we'll come on to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But so if I come to Huspy as a potential customer, will you hand me off to a broker, or do I just deal everything directly through yourselves?
Yeah, good question, Dave. Effectively, if you come through Huspy directly, you will be handed over to a Huspy broker. A Huspy broker differs in definition depending on the market in which we operate in. In the UAE, these would be effectively Huspy employees. Right. In Spain, where the market allows for freelancers, what the market calls autonomos, you will be handed over to an autonomo. He's not a Huspy employee. He's an experienced broker or real estate agent in the market that is using Huspy technology to service these clients.
I mean, I think that's fascinating in itself.
As cheesy as it sounds, Dave, sorry to interrupt you, as cheesy as it sounds, the same way people used to have to deal with taxi medallions for the drivers and taxis for the consumers. And then companies like Uber came and disrupted that industry and effectively allowed anyone who is considered to be a good driver, that is a safe person to deal with consumers, to deal with these riders. We're trying to do something similar to the real estate agents, to the real estate agency and the mortgage brokerage.
And I guess if you move into new markets, it gives you flexibility to look at the right model for the market. Absolutely. So just to give you effectively like a quick idea of how fast, how scalable and how financially efficient we can launch a new market. Effectively, our team landed in Valencia 10 days ago. We had absolutely zero presence before that in Valencia. We have already gotten 15 real estate agents to join us. And let's not forget, it's the last week of July. So the vast majority of Spanish workers are at the beach or in the mountains. Yeah.
And 2 minutes ago, I've just received news that we've just received our first offer. So effectively, we've just, in the space of a week, got 15 agents to join us, uploaded 7 properties for sale, scheduled visits, and already received an offer for a property from a home buyer on a property that was sourced by a Huspy-enabled real estate agent.
Congratulations. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Thank you very much.
So when you went to, I mean, I guess you say you're in the Spanish market already, but when you go to somewhere like Valencia, it sounds like your first job is to find the real estate agents or the potential mortgage brokers. Is that, I'm kind of interested in that, like, as you sort of look to new markets, how do you approach
a bit tactical, effectively. You want us to get a bit tactical into that. Sure. I'm happy to do that. That actually falls directly on the CEO and my scope. So to give you a bit of details, effectively, during the month of June, we went on what we call an expansion discovery trip. So in the space of about 4 weeks, we visited 4 different regions in Spain. The second we land in this region, effectively, all we do is focus on talking to as many real estate agents as possible and as many home buyers and sellers as possible. In parallel, our business intelligence team will be running a stream on understanding the market from a data and intelligence point of view. Effectively, what you end up with after these 4 weeks, where effectively we've spoken with more than 70 agents, hundreds of home buyers and sellers, gone on about 60, let's say, mystery shopping experience, understanding how the market operates, we end up with a very large amount of data that is both qualitative and quantitative to decide what market to launch. Effectively, we like markets that are heavily fragmented, where this level of service offering is low, which unfortunately is the case in the vast majority of markets we look at, and where there's a large opportunity size, right? Once we define the market we're going to launch, we send 2-3 people on the ground. These people are responsible to do the following things. Effectively, you cannot sell a house if you do not have access to a portfolio of properties that are up for sale. For you to be able to have access to that portfolio, you need to be able to add real estate agents to the network. And these real estate agents are effectively your boots on the ground, sourcing properties. These properties are then generating buyer leads that are scheduling visits, being accompanied by our agents to these visits, making offers, negotiations, and closing. To explain to you the mortgage side, and that was something maybe that I should have mentioned at the beginning. Today, Huspy offers mortgages across the whole Spanish territory, from our office in Madrid and also from a network of mortgage brokers that we deal with across the territory. Why is it different than real estate? Because on real estate, you need agents that are walking the streets of the city to be able to sell properties. On mortgages, that's not needed. So effectively on mortgages, today we sell mortgages across all of Spain. We have a brand that's called Byteca, dedicated for resident mortgages. And we have a brand called Mortgage Direct that is dedicated to non-resident mortgages.
That's really interesting. I mean, the whole thing is kind of fascinating. So it sounds like you can mobilize extremely quickly.
Absolutely.
And let's come back to the Dubai market, because it sounds like you've got a massive presence in Dubai. And
it's our home turf.
Yeah, it's home turf. And I guess, you've been using Dubai as a way of kind of testing out the technology, testing out the proposition, as well as sort of your target partner sort of behaviors, consumer behaviors as well. So I'm kind of interested in the experience that you've had in Dubai, and how have you gone so quickly to being in such a dominant position?
Yeah, that's a question we get often. As I said, like Dubai is our home turf, right? Why did we choose Dubai to launch Huspy? Very frankly, today, Dubai and the UAE is a land of opportunities. In every industry that you can think of, they are pioneering, not only in terms of scale, but also in terms of innovation and disruption. So it might come out quite surprising to the audience to hear, for example, that in terms of regulation, data availability, strictness of processes and certifications and everything that goes around buying and selling properties, the quality of work that's been done by the Dubai Land Department and the Real Estate Regulatory Authority is shocking when you compare it to markets like Europe. We're talking 10, 20, 30x data availability, live data, details on the transactions. Anyone and everyone can today enter the websites that are provided by these different authorities in the UAE and have an incredible level of visibility over what's happening in the market. In Spain, we are light years behind this, literally. So it's an amazing place to be able to test these technologies and this disruptive kind of approach to real estate that we're doing. To give you an idea of the scale of our business in the UAE effectively. So today, about 30% of all residential mortgages in Dubai go through the office where I'm sitting. More
30%?
than 30% of residential mortgages are processed by Huspy. A high level number. We're starting to hit the 300 to 400 million euros or dollars of mortgages processed by Huspy on a monthly basis. No bank in the UAE processes this many mortgages on a monthly basis. On the real estate side, we have about 150 real estate agents that are operating under the Huspy umbrella through the Huspy network, and about 1 or 2 dozens as well in the Abu Dhabi office that we launched very recently. As a company, Dave, we're known for being an extremely aggressive players. We do not enter a market to be in the top 10, 5, 15. Every market we enter, we have a very clear and defined objective of being top 1 within 12 to 18 months of operations. Thankfully, we've been very successful at that. It comes with a lot of responsibility on the team, a lot of expectations from our investors, but also a lot of expectations from the level of service that we are supposed to be providing to our end consumers, whether these are B2B or B2C consumers.
I mean, I guess quickly on that, would you see Huspy as a B2C proposition kind of going across Europe as well, or?
Absolutely.
Right.
So we believe, so why did we start with real estate? Very simply, it's by far the largest asset class globally. You mix the market cap of all public markets, of public equities, plus all government bonds globally, it doesn't amount to the size of the real estate market. While keeping in mind that it is by far the least disrupted industry by technology. So effectively, if you look at Europe as a continent, especially Western and Southern Europe, it's to a large extent a white space in what we do. The same also applies to the Middle East. So we see ourselves as a company that will always be based and headquartered in this region right now in Dubai, but we have very large European aspirations. So to tell you a bit about our expansion plans, in the next few months, we're focusing heavily on expanding our real estate business across the Spanish territory, starting with our initial office, which was Madrid, and our second office, which we just launched, which I just spoke about, being Valencia. And after that, our aspiration is within the next 12 months to launch at least one more European market and at least one more Middle Eastern market.
That's extraordinary. I mean, in terms of the aspiration, I think it's so extraordinary to kind of hear.
We believe we can be a category defining company in the home buying space in the region, and the region being EMEA, effectively Europe, Middle East, and eventually potentially North Africa as well.
No, that's very interesting. I mean, I guess one question I have is, you talk about the access to data that you have in the Middle East. And I mean, it's...
Yeah. Dubai specifically, to be fair.
Yeah. Could you do what you are doing? I mean, in terms of, and it sounds like what you've got in Dubai is a kind of living sandbox in many ways, where you're sort of...
Absolutely.
Could you do what Huspy is doing without access to the data that you've had in the way that you've had? I mean, what's behind that question is, as countries come to the party in terms of data and opening up data and making sure there's access to data, it really does open up opportunities for kind of efficiencies in the way that you're kind of describing.
Efficiencies, disruptions, and innovation. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, and so would you have started on the journey if you didn't have access to the data, I guess is the question.
Yeah, look, actually, to be very honest with you, when we started this effectively 4 years ago, the level of data that we had versus today is uncomparable. So today it's miles better than what it was. Having said this, like I was saying, in Spain, the level of data that we have is significantly inferior to what we have in Dubai. And we are doing what we're doing. Does it add kind of an additional hurdle? Absolutely.
Right.
Is it a hurdle that we believe we have overpassed and continue to overpass? Absolutely, you know.
I imagine you could end up in the position where, as you kind of move into these markets, you become a data gatherer and a place.
Absolutely. Just a very small example. The level of data availability that I was talking about in Dubai is more obvious on the real estate side of things, meaning buying and selling and renting properties, than the mortgage side of things. So today, when 30% of the residential mortgages being processed in the Emirates are going through Huspy, we believe that no one has the wealth of data that we have on mortgages, because no one is aggregating it from all the banks as we are.
That's fascinating as well. I guess turning to the website and the B2C, again, it's a really lovely website. I mean, my background is actually UX and design, and I've worked with financial services firms for many years. And I think some of the biggest success we had with HSBC, where going back many years, we helped them put their mortgages online. And it was kind of fascinating because they said that nobody buys a house online. And we proved totally that was wrong. You know, we did things like put mortgage calculators. So I noticed sort of up front, you've got a tool that people can play with straight away. So you kind of get them into the interactive. We proved HSBC totally wrong, to the point where one of their senior execs said, look, you know, that little tool you've built is accounting for a fair chunk of the bank's profits, to be honest.
Isn't that beautiful to hear?
I mean, it was like, it's probably the best feedback I've ever had, that one little page was accounting for a significant proportion of the bank's profits. It was kind of lovely. But all we did was we aligned with the way that people were buying houses. People were using online. They wanted to do scenario planning. And when I look at Huspy, what you have is a sort of full suite of tools. So not only as a consumer can you come and do some planning around mortgages, but if you're going to sell a house, you can actually get a package around. So the whole life cycle seems to be catered for. Was that what you sort of set out to do in the first place? Is sort of look at the whole life cycle and say, well, how do we kind of close it all off?
So thanks first of all on the commentary on the website. I'll make sure to pass it to our both design team and technology team. They'll be very happy. So effectively, when we started only to hit the mortgage piece, right? So we said buying a house is a pain point. One of the largest pain points within that kind of process is obtaining a mortgage. So let's start by addressing this pain point that we believe we have an answer to. We were extremely successful. 12 months into our operations in Dubai, we became the largest mortgage broker in the country, acquired the incumbent that had been leading the market for a dozen years or so. Shout out here to Sawan and Dan, who were running that business and today are part of the leadership team and are doing an incredible job at Huspy. We're quite an active company on the acquisition stream. We've acquired 4 companies till now, all in the mortgage space, 3 in the UAE and 1 in Spain. And then after being successful effectively at addressing the mortgage part of the home buying process, we said, great, we cracked something that is quite complicated to crack. We have the resources, both financial through our amazing cap table and our investors, but also through a very strong team, both on the operation side, but also on the technology side. Why don't we try to build a home buying company, meaning not only helping people get the mortgage, but helping people search for the house, find it, and finance it, with a very clear vision that eventually we want to be in everything real estate company. So we want you to be able to come to Huspy, get your mortgage, find your house, rent your house out, renovate it, track the price, get the option to refinance, get an option to renovate the property, buy furniture, maintain it, sublet it, short-term rental, and so on. The vision keeps evolving as we go.
It's so interesting because here am I sat at my house in Henley, and it is the most important piece of my assets. And I guess one of the puzzles...
It is for like 98% of people, by the way, Dave.
Yeah, no, totally. I love what you're saying about kind of closing everything up, because actually owning a house is quite complex. Remembering to do your insurance and
maintenance, and you're leaving for the summer to the coast. Why not try to commercialize it and make a buck on the side from that? And effectively today, you would have to go to 20 different providers to cover all these things.
Well, so real example is we're based in Henley. We were pondering, should we rent out the house over Henley Regatta? So every year we get thousands of people descending on Henley. So we had a company come in to do short-term rentals, but they would have just put us on Airbnb. Then we were like, okay, well, we better check whether our insurance is covered. No, the insurance didn't cover short-term rentals. I had a look at the mortgage. No, the mortgage, So by the end of it, I was like, oh, this is so frustrating.
I'll ask you a much simpler question, Dave. So you said you have a mortgage, right? How long ago did you obtain your mortgage?
So I got that 4 years ago. Yeah.
4 years ago. Are you able to track 2 things? First of all, how's the price of your house changed over the last 4 years on a touch of a button? That's my first question. And on a second question, your bank will never, ever come to you telling you, hey, Dave, interest rates have dropped. You can refinance your house and reduce your monthly payments by X or Y%. That's what we want to do. We want to put the home buyer fully in control of everything they need in their house, in their pockets, at the touch of the screen of their phones. While mentioning one thing, you complemented our Effectively website, which is a B2C product that clients see. To be extremely clear, we have not started scratching the surface of the client-facing technology. Our heavy focus over the last 4 years is building technology for the people that are serving the home buyer and the seller. Like I said at the beginning, those being the real estate agents and the mortgage brokers. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you a look at some point at what our mortgage broker portal looks like or what our agent super app looks like. And you'll see technology that we are extremely comfortable to say is by far the best technology in this space, in the markets in which we operate.
I'd love to see that. I've got an idea for you as well, but I won't share it on this podcast. But after we start recording, I've got something which is something I've been pondering as well. So I guess we're sort of running short on time. I literally could talk about this all day because it's such an interesting topic. But we are running short on time. I was kind of interested about, I guess there's a trend towards fractionalization, which is happening. Are you looking at new technologies and sort of how new technologies may change? Like the whole sort of way we own houses that's up for disruption as well, isn't it?
Correct.
So
Correct.
we're actually, like, even in the UAE, it's sort of like the whole mortgage thing is hundreds of years old as a sort of strategy. Are you looking at new ways of doing things?
To be very honest with you, Dave, we are constantly assessing kind of different disruptive model in the space in which we operate, whether that's, like you said, an example of fractionalization or buy rent now and pay later. Because, for example, in the UAE, unlike other countries, you do not pay your rent monthly. You usually pay it annually, quarterly, or twice a year, which obviously could come as a weight to people who are paying rent. Paying the 1 year rent upfront can be problematic for a lot of people. So we're constantly looking at all these different models that are popping up, trying to innovate and disrupt the real estate market as we know it today. However, we believe that we do not want to lose focus over a very, very, very large opportunity size that we have. And there's a lot to disrupt in that opportunity size. Once we kind of get comfortable saying we have an extremely strong operating model and strong technology, we'll start tapping into those other models. But effectively on fractionalization, the way we see it is the market is not large enough to build a category defining company. Hence, if you look across the globe, especially in markets that are extremely advanced, both from a technology point of view, but also from a real estate point of view, like the Chinese markets or the American markets, you do not see behemoth companies that are doing fractionalizations, to be very frank with you. And as a company, we really want to build something extremely large out of the region. And we know that you cannot do that through focusing heavily on fractionalization or solely on fractionalization. Is this something that we might consider in the future as we continue cracking the much larger problem? Absolutely. Is this something that we would kind of deviate the focus and attention of the team, but also our resources on today? Not really.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So I've got to ask as my final question, when are you turning up in the UK? So
that's a very good question. To be very honest with you, when we were looking at the European space for our first expansion after Dubai and the UAE, the UK was on the map. I do not believe it will be the next European market we launch after Spain, but it's definitely on the radar considering the fact that it's a large market that is quite regulated with, compared to Europe, very good availability of data and strong processes and transparency. So are we looking at it? Yes. Is it going to be very soon? No.
Fantastic. No, brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. That's been
Thank you so much, Dave, for your time. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And we hope to see you sometime very soon, either in our offices in Spain or in Dubai as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Dave and Dharm Demystify. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tune in next time as we take another topic and demystify it.